Hi everyone, and welcome to Build Better Webs. So, thanks so much, for introducing me and inviting me back again. I was supposed to be here in 2022, as you heard, but yeah, COVID got its way there. um, FFConf was one of the first conferences I ever spoke at, so I'm really glad to but went to. So I'm really happy to be here and to talk. So yeah, it's like a dream come true in a way. It's not cheesy, but yeah, really looking forward to all the talks today, especially the onus on accessibility and one on deaf. But this is my talk, of course. So I'm going to discuss why we need to build better webs, why the web's plural, not just the web, and what you can do to help. But anyway, who am I? Sorry. If you don't know me, I'm Olu. I'm a front-end developer. I go by they, them pronouns. I'm mostly a front-end developer, and I'm very, very, very online. I'm always reading blogs, I'm writing blogs, I'm making YouTube videos, and sticking my head in the fire hose of corporate social media too, sadly. And also Mastodon. I was born in Luton and I grew up there, but I went to a university that's not going to be named because I didn't like it. And then I moved to London for a bootcamp to learn to code, and the rest is history. You can find me online at olu.online, and olu.online/contact is where all my handles are. But anyway, for this talk, the important thing is I want the internet to be better. So I think most people on the stream will probably agree that the web is magic in some way. But in case you don't, I think it's magical. We can send messages to people on the other side of the planet, near instantly. We can learn about anything for free that we want that isn't behind a paywall, and some things that are if we are very sneaky about it. Anyone can publish anything to anyone at no cost or low cost to them for anyone else anywhere else to read. And more people than ever are online, even though it feel like it at times. We have our niches and our 5 websites we keep cycling around, but there's more people online than ever building new worlds, new tools, and fun and weird experiences for each other. It's made so much possible for me personally that I would never have been possible without it. So a job that's allowed financial freedom, even though I hate that term, that I would never have dreamed of, a chosen family, and so much love and friendship as well. Thank you. So yeah, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. I said that very fast, sorry. But yes, Arthur C. Clarke was a futurist and a writer, and he made some good predictions about tech in the future. He said that his son would go on a computer and be able to order anything he needed and see all the information he needs in the world. So that was really quite cool. And today we're making space possibility just like him. So I'm hoping there'll be even more magical technology. So we're going to cast a spell, which you might have seen earlier. So yeah. Someone told me that emoji spells are not commonly known as a meme, so I might explain it a little bit. So to people you can't see, there's a sparkle emoji, there's a Wi-Fi emoji, there's the emoji that's for the internet itself, World Wide Web, there's a heart emoji, and there's a envelope with a heart, which I'm using to mean email. And if you're not familiar with the meme, it's mostly on Tumblr I've seen it, where you're if you want Tumblr vibes or you want a good academic year, you can post a series of emojis with meaning to you to ask people to charge, or post to cast, and then it should come true. So today you can either reblog it on my social media, or you can just make your own post. But yeah, I think good vibes, right? Bring good vibes in. We need them. So this is the emoji spell to fix the internet and build new webs. Like to charge, repost to cast. But yeah, and it's not that deep, so don't worry if you're into that. But yeah, this talk is indebted to a talk by Deb Chakra called How Infrastructure Works. And she's very sure infrastructure in terms of the built world. So she means water treatment works, sewage works, gas, bridges, roads, aviation, global delivery logistics container shipping, and electricity. But lots of her ideas apply to the web, just about the internet a little bit. So yeah, let's get started. So one of the ideas is a lot of things about networks. So one of the reasons we could care about the web is because it's a network. And what do I mean by network here? By network, I just mean things in the broader sense. So things that are connected to other things and connected to connect people. So obviously networks allow us to communicate, share knowledge, and share resources. But networks also allow us to share and amplify the benefits of whatever it is we're trying to do. So they incentivize us to contribute to them, even if monetarily is the only way. As we and anyone who the benefits compound. So for us and people who maybe are descended from us or near to us also get the benefits of being on the network. And everyone using a network is what makes it better and more valuable. So when everyone uses a network, the cost can be borne by the entire network rather than by a few people. So more people getting more benefits, more people use it, like I've said. So like with water treatment systems, everyone having access to them makes them safer. One or two people like messing up the water, to be vague, mess up everybody. Because if some people are getting waterborne diseases, then you're likely to get them too if you live nearby. And to link it back to the internet, Metcalfe's law is about the guy who one of the co-inventors of Ethernet. He says that a network's value is proportional to the square of the number of nodes in the network, which is a long way of saying that the more people are on it, the better it is. So yeah. And once everyone is on a network, it stops being a luxury and becomes a need. There is I think maybe that's confusing, but it's like say with the internet, the more that people have used it, the more it has become like something that's not it's not something that people expect you not to have. That makes sense. You expect to have it. The pandemic, the height of the pandemic was a good example of this, where access to the internet was seen as like normal, and like nobody expected you not to be able to have it, like for education, for health, for all sorts of things. And people were unfairly kept out and ostracized because they didn't have the internet. And yeah, this is a reiteration that needs a server infrastructure. So infrastructure increases the agency of everyone who uses it. So agency is the ability to get what you want. So having internet for me at home during my childhood was sometimes intermittent, and the difference between having it and not having it, as time went by and more people came online, it became more and more of a penalty to not have it at home, if that makes sense, for homework, socializing, for watching shows that other people were watching at school and I couldn't watch. And I wasn't even at school, university during the height of the pandemic, so I can't imagine it if you didn't have it then. So there's also examples like the trains going to Brighton to talk to you today, and them existing in the first place. Like nobody in the UK wonders if there's like a road or a way to get to somewhere else in the UK. They just assume that it exists. And these pieces of infrastructure mean that we can and these investments mean that we're able to do things we never dreamed of being able to do. And infrastructure can then destroy or embed existing power structures. Like I know that a lot of people here are very invested in the smaller web, so maybe this seems like a strange way to start, but infrastructure is a way of transferring power, is what I would say. Like the small web, it's a good way to sorry. I focus on the benefits of infrastructure mostly here because of the of the benefits, but there's also harms, which is what I was trying to say just now. And the already powerful claim the majority of the benefits, and the marginalized people are the ones who are predominantly the ones experiencing harm in these systems. So, for example, there's things like reservoirs where people are displaced from where they originally started out and are forcibly displaced to move somewhere else. But more people, are usually benefited by them, by clean water being like more available. And we've seen in the UK with the bus fare cap being raised and stuff like that. Like who gets best bus services, who gets cheapest fares, who gets fibre internet and gets to attract businesses to that area. It makes individual purchasing decisions about things like climate instability and ethical concerns very difficult to deal with as an individual, because our purchasing power and impact comes from the collective decisions made by cities and governments and entire countries. Infrastructure hugely shapes our ability to choose. What you can and can't do is shaped by what is available to you in these systems. And so far, the web has sadly increased the power of the wealthy and privileged. So in theory, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? But it often ends up being more like trickle-down economics, which is a theory that if lots of people at the top have loads of money or resources, then eventually everyone at the bottom will be benefited. So we have to be careful to think about things in a good way. Like, I think Meta and Google are the like top websites. Meta, Google, and I think I'm missing one. Meta, Google, I don't know. And Facebook, Meta, no, wait, I don't know. Anyway, Meta and Google have most of the web traffic in the world in terms of like number of hits and stuff. And some people don't think of the website as anything but these sites, like Facebook and WhatsApp, and then what else is the internet? Like we just quit it because it's obviously terrible. And there's a whole other talk from FFConf in the archive from Hayden, which you should probably watch if you care about capitalism. But the keys to the web are being increasingly focused in the hands of like Meta and Alphabet. And yeah, I don't think that's a good thing. So we all want a better web, but how do we get there? So I think given the audience of this, we all know they can't be building a big thing to end all the big things. Like, I don't think that making a new giant Facebook would actually fix anything, which I hope is obvious. But or a new Google, really. Like, we should be trying to like split things, make things that are more focused on individuals and, well, not individuals, on collectives of people who actually use the thing, be it building it. And we can't just like, replicate the things that they exist as they exist now. And it also can't mean building lots of tiny, lonely, unconnected things. And I think that's often a criticism of the small web, but I think that's not quite what it is, because there's things like 32-bit cafe, and I don't know, there's loads of like cliques, as they call them, of like people with web rings and all sorts of like other things where they build together. They're building the infrastructure that they need together to connect themselves to each other. And I think often people were like, if the internet is not working for me, I need to build the best tool, the new tool, and they just go off into their like internet cave, their coding cave, and just code a new thing, and no one uses it, and then they get discouraged and think that nothing can ever change. But building on this way isn't what is going to change things. So what we need to do to fix the webs is to build a culture of building things. So not just building, but running them. So better governance, being behind people who translate things, make things accessible, design things, maintain things, and more, but not on our own together. And we need to work together, and we often include the person referred to as the non-technical user. And user-led design and co-creation are like corporate ways of saying that. But the non-technical user is not an exception, they're a rule. They are, the majority of the people in the world are non-technical users, I guess. And we should act like that's true. We should be as close as possible to being the user when we build things. We should try and build things for our communities. Like, I was going to list some communities, but there's so many. You from gardening to sewing to, I don't know, we're a web developer community. There's so many things that you can be part of and you should be building for people like yourselves. And what we should be concentrating on in terms of like how to build better webs is like the wrong question. And there's no one right way, as I said. Like, plurality is a strength, ignore weakness. And if you don't want your work to become the next you don't want your work to become the next big thing, so you don't have to worry about that. You just worry about building for people who are like you. So questions to motivate this is like, what's important to you, what motivates you, and what makes thankless work its own reward. So when I say thankless work, it probably seems a bit harsh, but it's like what would make you ignore hate comments or make you go online and like fix a server that's gone down in the middle of the night if it's important? Like, what makes you think, oh, that'll be worth it, or at least like not horrible? And an important quality of any work to make the web's better webs is to make sure your work should be uncapturable. And capturable here, I mean by uncapturable, I mean that it can't be bought, or not even bought, I guess, but like it can't be taken up from under you and like reused as a completely new idea without your like corporation, if that makes sense. There's a theory in sociology called recuperation, which is that any radical idea gets taken over by like whatever dominant oppressive force there is, and they absorb it and it becomes part of the status quo. So try to think of a nice example, because I keep thinking of things that are mean to say. But it's quite hard, isn't it? Because I guess for my own community, I would say like maybe Black Lives Matter is likely like that, because while it has radical thrust still, I would say like we didn't get the aims we wanted, if that makes sense. And people, corporations, I'm sure that Google probably has had Black Lives Matter events. So yeah. But and other terms for this are like embrace, extend, extinguish from Microsoft, gentrification, and co-opting. So yeah, and I think it's very easy for me to stand up here and say all these things about like how things are broken, but when it comes to things that real world examples that I like that like fill these things, it's like I'm not sure. And when it comes to ideas, technical things, I'm also not really sure. But it's part of the work, I think. And I have young, fragile ideas. So yeah, as I've said, building a brand new thing or learn is really the solution. Community is key. It brings people together and it ensures that it serves those people. Because if you are building specifically for a community, it's really hard to well, it's not. it's more difficult to undermine that community by just turning around and deciding that you don't want to serve them anymore. Like, you have a new product or new service at that point. Like, it's not the same thing that it was. And if you can't extend or add to a thing, make something with a bunch of other people. So don't make something new if you can avoid it. If you can, then yeah, make sure you have other people with you. And of course, the indie webs are really exciting for this because, like I said about 30-bit Cafe, which is one that I found, and like Near Cities, I think it's called. And there's Solar Protocol, which is like a network of solar powered servers, which is like whichever part of this network has the most sun is the part that will be serving your website, which I find really inspiring. And I think that they are like mostly for artists, which I find really interesting because like people often separate the technical and the artistic. So yeah, I think it's really cool too that they are trying to serve their own community through this. Like, it's not a technical person just going into the artist community and saying that they want to do this. If that makes sense. So yeah, there's a whole galaxy to explore, not the same 5 places. So we need more alternative web spaces, more experiments, more honest attempts, and yeah, we need to make more webs. So what have we discussed so far? Technically, people often have the impulse to build everything alone, as they've said. And building alone means you'll really build infrastructure, things that are necessary in people's lives and bring them immense value but aren't luxurious or uncommon. And you should focus on adoption. And focusing on building networks means that adoption is both necessary and intrinsic to things we're building. So adoption shouldn't be hard because it's just part of what you're doing. Build together and look to existing networks you use and see what can be learnt, copied and discarded, etc. Ideally, find existing alternatives on work to make them better and, most importantly, uncapturable. If there aren't existing networks, consider building new ones that are not capturable. And it's not a technical property. I think I should have expressed this. Like, it's systemic. It's not, there's no rules like, oh, like, I don't know, you put a monetization thing in, so it's capturable if capitalists are coming like to knock on your door. It's not that kind of thing. It's like, it depends on the situation, like lots of this stuff. It depends on what's happening. So the question is, building new webs will be messy and political. The mess is the work. So yeah, don't worry about things being hard or difficult or scary. That's part of the process. And basically it's like, what kind of networks do you want to build? What kind of networks do you want to see? What kind of networks do you want to be part of? Small ones, big ones. Like, we obviously have a bias here to smaller ones. But yeah, I think for the planet too, it's probably better to do smaller. But still, small, big, like funny ones, weird ones, solar powered ones, wind powered ones. What kind of networks do you want? We can do magic together. So thank you for listening.